This is Module 4, Lesson 5 on your own. You can find this on page 129 and 130 in your book if you would like to do it on your book. You will need to have a work paper for this because we're doing lots of different things with decimals. So this first one is a sprinkler sprays 0.7 gallons of water per minute. If it takes 45 minutes to water a lawn, how many gallons of water does a sprinkler spray? If you need to click the hints, make sure you're doing that. We're going to take 45 times 0.7. 5 times 7 is 35. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 31. Now we have to put our decimal in. There's only one spot, so one spot here. So we get 31.5 gallons. Next, Petra buys a pair of jeans for $28.39 and a t-shirt that costs $6.40. How much did she spend? We're going to be adding those together because Petra spent money. We need to find the total. 8 plus 6 is 14, and we get a 3. So she spent $34.79. And that's it. Next. A tailor spends $63.75 to buy 7.5 yards of satin. What is the cost of satin per yard? So we're going to divide on this one. We have 63.75 divided by 7.5. We have a decimal out here, so we need to move it so we have a whole number. We move it once here. We're going to have to move it once here. 75 cannot go into 6 or 63, but I can go into 637 8 times because when I do 75 times 8, I get 600. 75 goes into 375 5 times evenly. So our answer is $8.50 per yard. We have to add that 0 because I'm not going to say we're dealing with money, so we need to add that 0 in. Next. Gail harvested 3 bags of potatoes that weighed 25.5 pounds, 32.25 pounds, and 27 pounds. He says he harvested a total of 350.7 pounds. Explain his error. Let's look at this. He didn't line up his decimals. So he did not line up his decimal points. So to do this, we need to line them up, and we're going to add them together. So I have 25.5. I have 32.25. And I have 27. So my decimals are lined up. I can draw an arrow right down. If you want to add in your extra zeros, you can. I get a 5. I get a 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I get 84.75. For some reason that is counting it wrong, but it actually is right because I'm looking at the answer that I got and the answer in the book, and it's 84.75. So for some reason the check says it's wrong, but it is actually right. Cassie volunteers at an animal shelter. She needs a total of 40 hours of volunteer time for her class. So far she has volunteered 18.5 hours. How many more hours does she need? So we're going to subtract. We're going to take 40. Remember, when there's not a decimal, you add it on the end. And then we're going to line up our decimals when we subtract 18.5. We add a 0 right here. And then we're going to go across and borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So I get 21.5. Our next one. An adult African elephant eats about 0.25 tons of food per day. If the zoo orders 2.3 tons of food for the elephant, how many full days will the food last? So we're going to take 2.3 and we're going to divide that by 0.25. I'm going to drop the 0 though. So I'm going to go 1, 2. 1, 2, and that blank spot right over here, we need to add a 0. 25 does not go into 2 or 23. but goes into 239 times because 25 times 9 is 225. When I subtract that, I get a 5. And then I need to annex a 0 since I still have some leftovers down here. 25 goes into 50 twice. So, how many full days will the food last? Is actually 9 full days because the 0.2 would not be a full day. A collector purchased a rare book for $97.56 and then sold the book in an online auction for $141.82. The auction charged the collector $8.25 in fees for the use of its service. How much did the collector earn by selling the book? So there's a couple things that we need to do here. First, we're going to take how much they sold it for. So we have $141.82. They bought it for $97.56, so we're going to subtract that. $11 minus 7 is 4. 13 minus 9 is 4. Now, they also had to pay $8.25 for the fees, so we have to subtract that. So they had, oops, I needed to borrow here. I'm sorry. So let's borrow. 14 minus 8 is 6. And we get a 3. So they only earned $36.01 for that. A carpenter installing cabinets uses thin pieces of material called shims to fill gaps. The carpenter uses 4 shims to fill a gap that is 1.5 centimeters wide. So 3 of the shims are 0.75, 0.125, and 0.1. What is the width of the 4th shim? So we're going to add these 3 together. And then what we're going to have to do to find the 4th shim, we are taking 1.5 because that's how big the gap is, and we're going to subtract that, what we got for the 3 shims together. So we get a 5, a 2. 14 minus 9 is 5. So the 4th shim needs to be 0.525 centimeters. So there are several steps we had to do on that one. Number 12. How much fence is needed to surround a garden with a side length of 2.1, 3.5, 1.9, and 2.25 meters. So we're going to add those all together. When we do that, we get a 5, 10, 15, 17. Our decimal, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they need 9.75 meters of fence. Simone Mel, an American competitive swimmer, won a gold medal in the women's 100-meter freestyle event at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Her winning time was 52.70 seconds. On average, how long did it take her to swim 1 meter? So we're going to take her time of 52.7, and we're going to divide it by 100 because she did the 100-meter freestyle. Since there's no decimals up here, it just goes straight up. 100 goes into none of 5 or 2, so I'm going to put 0 up here. But it goes into here 5 times. Annex a 0, drop it down. 100 goes into 270 twice. Add a 0, drop it down. 100 goes into 700 7 times. So it took, on average, it takes her 0.527 seconds to swim 1 meter. When a puppy was adopted, it weighed 4.5 pounds. Now it weighs 12.225 pounds. How much weight did the puppy gain? So we're going to be doing some subtracting here. 5 minus 0 is 5. We're going to do some borrowing. 12 minus 5 is 7. 11 minus 4. Well, 4 is 7. So we get 7.75. A recipe for chicken soup calls for 3 boxes of chicken broth measuring 15.8 ounces each. How many ounces are used in the recipe? So we're going to take 15.8 and we're going to multiply by 3. 8 times 3 is 24. 15, 16, 17. 3, 4. And we have 1 spot. So 40. 47.4 ounces is our answer. A box of cereal contains 98.7 grams of protein in 1 serving containing 7.05 grams of protein. Kevin says there are about 1.4 servings of protein in the box of cereal. Is he correct? Okay, so no, Kevin is not correct because Kevin did not place the decimal point correctly when dividing. There are 14 servings. The next one, the speed at which the Hubble telescope orbited Earth is given, 4.78 miles per second right here. How far did the telescope travel in 3 seconds? So we're going to take 4.78 and we're going to multiply it by 3. 8 times 3 is 24. 21, 22, 23. 12, 13, 14. And there's 2 spots, so we get 14.34 as our answer. Next. Selma has to hike 11 miles to reach the top of Electric Peak in Yellowstone Park. After hiking 2.4 miles, she takes a break. How much farther does she have left to hike? So it's a total of 11 miles, and she hiked 2.4. So we're going to be subtracting. 10 minus 4 is 6. Put my decimal down right there. 10 minus 2 is 8. She still has 8.6 miles left to go. So she didn't even make it halfway yet. Okay, these next ones are straightforward to the point ones. I'm just going to give you the answers for them because you should be able to check these fairly quickly yourself. For this one, your answer should be 17.81. 1.2 minus 0.51 is 0.69. 5.5 times 1.3 is 7.15. 158.18 divided by 5.5 is 28.76. 23.26 minus 17.1 is 6.16. And lastly, we have 231.65 plus 0.45. You should get 232.1. And that is on your own for this lesson.